In this video, we are solving the MCR5 law. As of recording, My Chemical Romance has just finished their Long Live the Black Parade tour show in New Jersey, and in my last video on this, we analysed their first show in Seattle. I'd highly recommend you go back and watch that video just to get some context for some of the theories I'll be revisiting in this one as we analyse the past 5 shows. Because since then, Gerard Way's been decomposing, we think we've got a UK tour, and the Paper Kingdom is actually more likely to be released than not. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, let's dive into what's been going on. So I'm going to be doing a show-by-show breakdown of everything that's been going on, as well as diving into some theories on what I think could happen, is going to happen, and how this all links with Danger Days. Ooh, spooky. For context, if you're watching this in the future, we'll be covering San Francisco, Los Angeles Night 1, Los Angeles Night 2, Arlington, Texas, and New Jersey. So at the start of every show, Gerard Way introduces the Black Parade band and welcomes the city that he's performing in. However, there's something strange about the way he does this. So in San Francisco, Los Angeles Night 1, Los Angeles Night 2, Arlington, Texas, and New Jersey. So he introduces the cities, but they're not how we know them. So we've got San Francisco, Transylvania, Bolivia, Los Angeles, Wisconsin, Los Angeles, California, and then Madrid, we think, Planet, Texas, and then just New Jersey. It's not really clear why we've added countries onto these states. I can only assume it's one of two things. So either it's a world building technique where the countries or cities as we know them today aren't how they're portrayed in this drug universe, and there might have been some previous forgone war that might have altered the territories of these cities. Perhaps this is a nod to the way drugs education kind of veers propaganda in their favor. It's almost reminiscent of North Korea, kind of where they have false maps and false countries and this false history. Is it just that the citizens of Drag only know San Francisco as San Francisco, Transylvania, Bolivia, because that's what they're told, and that falls in line with what the Drag government want them to believe? I'm also not certain on why New Jersey is just New Jersey. We can only assume because the band are from New Jersey, maybe it's just a little nod to their roots. Let's focus in on the San Francisco show for just a moment. So after the Sharpest Lives, this is the point in the show where the dude with the beard and the suit that we kind of think is the Black Parade's management kind of gives Gerard Way a letter, which he kind of has a mixed reaction to every night. We're not certain what it says on the letter. I can only assume it doesn't say the same thing every night. But in San Francisco, so he just repeats "it's time" 3 times. This is kind of hinting to a theory that I'll catch on to later on in the video, but it seems like there's this overarching plan in the show, and Gerard Way kind of has this defeated cadence as he's reading this letter, saying that it's time for something, some event to happen. So when the podium is placed on stage where Gerard performs a few songs, does a couple talks, in San Francisco it felt like he made a bit of a jab at the Grand Immortal Dictator by saying this. It kind of feels like that he's implying that because he's got a podium in front of him and because it's made him, I don't know, look kind of like a politician, that he must be important. But the way he says it, it's not very genuine. I don't know. I feel like he's taking the piss a bit. And then just before Cancer, we find out that this show is actually sponsored.
We, the Black Parade, are proud to be brought to you by Stalanco, an inviting, hearty feast with all the natural grow-like flavor. Experience the appetizing, captivating sensations such as you've never tasted. Doctors, nurses, and millions of Dragoshkas enthusiastically recommend Stalanco, nature's regulator.
It kind of looks like he's being forced to read this against his will. He doesn't sound thrilled to be sponsored by, I think he says Scalanto? Scalanco. I also think there's something to say about this coming right before cancer, that it's a food that's been promoted by doctors and nurses, and he seems quite upset about promoting it, and then sings a song about dying of cancer. I don't know. It feels like there's some sort of ulterior motive with this food company. I'm skeptical on what's going on. I've literally only got crumbs for this. So I mentioned in the last video this little puppet on stage that I said I hadn't seen before. He's becoming quite the character. I do have some theories on what this puppet represents. I'll be honest, they might be batshit crazy, but we'll come to that later in the video. But in San Francisco during Mama, Gerard Way's kind of playing with it. I don't know, it's literally his son. And that's everything notable from San Francisco. Moving on to LA night one. So in San Francisco, his letter read, "It's time." However, in Los Angeles, he says everything's going to be okay. Now, looking at these two letters side by side, I don't think the first letter in San Francisco said "it's time," and I don't think the second letter says everything is going to be okay. I think whatever is on these letters is the plan that's happening throughout the show, and this is Gerard Way's response to reading how that's acting out each night. So he seemed a bit more frightened at this point in San Francisco, but here he feels relieved, as though even though it's the same show and there's going to be the same outcomes, something's changed that kind of makes him accept whatever ending is coming.
Terms and conditions. Be advised that the forthcoming proceedings may include sudden loud sounds, abrupt changes in lighting, and visual elements that some individuals may find unsettling. This includes, but is not limited to, depictions of harrowing circumstances, expressions of finality, and matters of a corporeal and judicial nature. Individuals of a sensitive disposition, or anyone with no medical conditions that may be exacerbated by sensory stimulation or emotionally intense content, are strongly encouraged to exercise discretion. Attendance and continued presence shall be construed and acknowledged of this notice and acceptance of all posterior discomfort, emotional or otherwise. No liability is assumed for distress incurred by proximity, audibility, or line of sight.
So there Gerard Way is reading out the terms and conditions of the show, and there's a few important sentences to pick out within this. So there's some quite wordy responses to obviously the shit we see in the show. There's a lot of shooting, there's a dude that blows himself up. We've got depictions of harrowing circumstances, expressions of finality, so I guess that's associations with death, and manners of a corporeal and judicial nature, which we can assume is the executions. And then he says that individuals with a sentient disposition are strongly encouraged to exercise discretion when watching the show. And it's this sentient disposition, which is really strangely worded, that had my eye tweaking. I was like, what do we mean sentient disposition? Because then there's the suggestion that a majority of this audience are not sentient. And then Gerard Way makes a call out to the entertainment industry trying to get the grand immortal dictator a job.
To those of you in the entertainment industry here tonight, for your consideration, the Grand Immortal Dictator. He is 6'5", currently based in Los Angeles. Special skills include allied leadership, motivating large groups of people, and horseback riding. He is SAG eligible and rep by DAA. Sizes available upon request.
So when I first heard this, I wasn't really thinking it sounded like a casting call. It sounded like he was looking for a hitman. Like he was like, here's a picture of the guy that's forcing me to do this show. He is 6'5". He is in Los Angeles right now. Someone pop a bullet in him. But I actually do think this was a casting call. I think it's a nod to him being in Los Angeles. However, we did hear that he is represented by DAA. And we don't know what DAA is supposed to represent. I assume it's Drug Acting Alliance or Artists Alliance, perhaps. I don't think this is massively important to the plot. I think it was just a nod to being in LA, but I would love it. Could you imagine if he quits his job being a dictator and just, I don't know, goes on Real Housewives or something? And here's a clearer video of him with the puppet during Mama. We said at the Seattle show that Jardway was reading a magazine called Murder, and this was the same magazine, or at least the same brand of magazine, that Mikey Way reads in the Na 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 music video from Danger Days. However, I wasn't expecting a switch up on the literary choice every single show. So this is the only show where I couldn't clearly see what book he was reading, but it looks like something about an atomic bomb. I can just kind of see plumes of grey smoke on all the videos I see of it. This was the best one I could find. But I can't read the title. I can't be certain, but I think it's something about nuclear war, which would make sense. And then it was in this person's video of LA Night 1 where I got a clear view of what I believe has been happening every single night. I don't think this is subjective just to LA. But during the reprise of the end, Jardway sings, "If you look in the mirror and don't like what you see, you can find out firsthand what it's like to be me." And this is when the Pierrot clown is introduced and comes on stage, and they mirror each other's actions. They look at each other like they're looking in a mirror. And now I'm starting to think, is the Pierrot clown meant to be Jardway? I have more evidence for this later.
If you look in the mirror and don't like what you see, you can find out firsthand what it's like to be me.
We'll come back to it. And that concludes Los Angeles Night 1. Los Angeles Night 2. This one is a bit more silly, I think. I don't think there were too many changes, other than, of course, the election, where instead of voting yay or nay for the hostages to die, you actually just vote on condiments.
We're gonna vote on condiments tonight. Are you ready? We're gonna vote. Does the grand immortal dictator get ketchup or mustard? Now here's the catch. One of these condiments is gonna end the lives of these prisoners. Yeah, it's mustard. Can we hook our grand immortal dictator up with some mustard, please? Now that that's sorted out, roll! Ready? Aim!
So this feels strange. Of course, it's just a nod to being in the Dodgers Stadium and the famous Dodger dog. However, it feels like something this serious, at least in the world they're building, an electrocution, and an execution being decided by a crowd's love for ketchup or mustard. It's almost like a mockery of the whole judicial system. And then we start to see one of my predictions come true. I said in the last video that we're going to kind of see the unraveling of the whole system that keeps the Black Parade Band placid on stage, especially with this hit that the guy with the beard hits Jared with. And finally, Los Angeles Night 2, Jardway dodges 2 of the hits sent his way. He is evolving, he's learning because it's happened before. Let's move on to Arlington, Texas, and this is where shit gets real. So when he introduced the Black Parade Band and the city of Arlington, Texas, or Planet Texas, he also says this.
The Black Parade is back in action! And Richard, this is the last time you dirty this armored suit!
This is the last time you dirty this armored suit. I tried to Google this and find a link to literally anything, and I can't. I can only assume these weird phrases that we're getting throughout the tour. So this is the last time you dirty this armored suit, and then everything's going to be okay in Los Angeles Night 1, and perhaps even some of the terms and conditions, perhaps lyrics from MCR5 / Paper Kingdom, because I can't find any link whatsoever to this is the last time you dirty this armored suit. But what does that quote really mean if we think about it? If the armored suit already gets dirtied, it sounds like there is a repetition or a cycle happening that dirties this armored suit often, and they've had enough of it. I think this is going to end up being a metaphor for the entire lore of what's going on, and I'll dig into that further in a minute. So that is the first time we see this kind of salute between the dude with the beard and Gerard Way on stage. I don't think we've seen it before. I didn't recognize it. And they say something that I believe is in the Koposhkan language that I can't translate for you. I tried to Google it. It sounds something like tet something. The only thing I could think of is a tete-a-tete is a kind of hushed conversation between two people, or like conniving a plan, but otherwise I've got nothing. And then this is the huge moment that everyone on my TikTok was commenting on, and you guys on YouTube, you are really thrumming this information into me. Guys, I saw it. I know I'm late in making this video, but during the electrocution, we have a survivor.
Yes! Wait, hold on. Oh, one of them didn't get hit. One of our guys missed. We should have got somebody from Dallas to do it. All right, well, let's show her what she's won then. It's a brand new 2009 Pierrot car. Gets great gas mileage, looks pretty sweet. What's in it? A brand new goat in the back seat.
So this woman survived the electrocution, and because she survived, she won a 2009 car with a goat in the back seat. I'm going to go into the goat symbolism later and why that goat is a prize, but for now I want to focus on a 2009 car, a brand new one at that. If it's a brand new 2009 car, then we can only assume that this universe is set in 2009. So we had the Black Parade album come out in 2006, and then Danger Days come out in 2010. So this is all set 1 year before Danger Days is set to be released, right? Because it's a brand new 2009 car. However, this also doesn't really make sense with the social media post we saw from the last video about the Black Parade having been sent to the moat for 17 years. Something's happening with the time here and the timelines, and I think I know what it is, but we've got to dig further first. So the slaps returned. Gerard Way hasn't learnt to deflect every single one. However, his demeanour is getting a lot more insistent. He stomps his foot, really sure that he does not want to take that letter. And then during Cancer, we get this really weird laugh track. It's like a studio track. You know when you're watching Friends and there's like a laugh track in the background or a live studio audience? We get this laugh track during Cancer. Very bizarre. And then Gerard's reading again, and this time he's reading to his little puppet doll, and it's a book called Insects. Alright, let's move on to New Jersey. So the important thing about New Jersey is that literally from the very start, right before the show even started, we had a change in the narrative. So usually before we get the national anthem at these shows, they play Tonight You Belong to Me. However, in New Jersey, we had a sample from The Music Man. Now, I could find absolutely no reason why they changed this pre-show song. The only link I can find is that The Music Man is set in a fictional town in Idaho, I believe, and Drag is a fictional country. That is all I've got. The story of Music Man is about a conman, perhaps that's related, but I don't know why they did it specifically for New Jersey, maybe because it's a hometown show. And the only other different things that happened was that when Gerard Way introduced the band, the Black Parade band, and said hello to New Jersey, he said that the Black Parade is home from work. So this is home for the Black Parade band. It's not drug, it's New Jersey. Again, it's really difficult to draw the line between what's real and what's law, because of course they're bigging it up, it's their hometown. And then also in this set, they received a ceremonial key from the mayor of Belleville. Mayor? Is it the mayor? The guy that runs Belleville. That's all that changed. and I have nothing to say about that. So maybe let's just get into some theories. So the first one, and this is huge, is that in the Seattle show, the Grand Immortal Dictator was 100% a wax figure or a cardboard cutout or something. It was not a real person. There's no way. However, in all the shows since LA Night 1, it's been a real guy who's been acting and has been there, sat dead still the entire time. Another thing that's kind of progressively been happening as the show goes on is that Gerard Way's makeup has been getting more fucked up by the show. So this user, Ryro Must Die, I haven't read their username until now, Ryro Must Die, said that there's a theory that he's decomposing. So in Seattle, his makeup was kind of a bit smudged, just regular Black Parade-ish smoky eye. In San Francisco, he had this cut along his cheek that kind of looks like it's like 3 claw marks. LA Night 1 and 2 looks relatively normal. He just looks a bit sick, I guess. Arlington, he's got more scratches. These 3 are back. He's got one on his jaw, he's got one up here, and he's just looking paler and paler, like he's becoming undead. So how does this tie in with the Grand Immortal Dictator? If Gerard Way is becoming more and more undead as the shows progress, and the Grand Immortal Dictator has gone from a wax figure to a real person who's now eating hot dogs and licking mustard off his finger, is there a chance that the Grand Immortal Dictator is kind of sucking the energy from Gerard to keep himself alive? He is, after all, the Grand Immortal Dictator. Is this how he stays immortal, as he just sucks the life out of everyone else? It's giving 21 Pilots, it's giving Nico. And also for a majority of this show, we're really focused in on the Grand Immortal Dictator. And he doesn't move, it's just he's on the Jumbotron. And someone said here, I did notice it on one of the videos of the full shows, but I didn't think to mention it, but I'm so glad someone else saw it because I was second guessing myself, is that both nights in LA, 2 of the 4 Jumbotrons just had someone writing something the whole time. Presumably these letters that Gerard was receiving on stage are happening live. He's getting instant feedback on what's going on. And I don't know what show this was at. I can't find any comments or tags that specifies when this was. But Gerard Way is enjoying some pasta, reading a magazine called Into the Quantum Realm. So what is the quantum realm? I'm no quantum physicist, but I'm going to try and explain my theory on what's going on here, and please don't think I am batshit crazy. In quantum mechanics, the quantum realm refers to the realm of the extremely small, specifically the world of atoms and subatomic particles. And within this theory, there's something called superposition. Superposition refers to a system being in multiple states simultaneously until measured. If you've heard of Schrodinger's cat, it's kind of like that. Now, I'm going to try and explain this, but again, I failed my GCSE physics, so please be patient with me. Schrodinger's cat is the idea that there's a cat in a box, and if I say to you, is the cat alive or dead? You can't be certain unless you open the box and look. So the idea is that unless something is proved, it is both things. So the cat is both alive and both dead because you can't prove that one of them is wrong. Obviously one of them is wrong, but how do you prove it, right? Okay, stay with me. So why does Gerard Way have an interest in the quantum realm in the show? So the quantum realm also has repercussions on how we view space and time. If something can be 2 things in multiple states at the same time, then how does that affect how time and space interact? It kind of messes everything up. In my head, I'm hearing time travel. Hear me out, does this not explain the discrepancies in the timeline that we're seeing? Again, we know that the show's kind of based in 2009 because that hostage won a brand new 2009 car. However, the Black Parade came out just 3 years before that, and Danger Days is set to come out a year afterwards. As well as the Black Parade band being in the moat for 17 years, there's not much leeway. But what if there was? What if every single night the Black Parade are going back in time, being forced to re-perform this show over and over in different cities with no knowledge of what's happening or what's coming next? Or perhaps this is them being in multiple states simultaneously. Alternatively, at the end reprise, when Gerard says when you look in the mirror and don't like what you see, and we have him mirroring the Pierrot clown. If the Pierrot clown is Gerard Way and they're in the same place at the same time, is there a chance that the Pierrot clown is meant to be future Gerard? This is him looking directly into himself in the future, and maybe the clown costume, finally explained, is a metaphor for how his actions have preceded him. Does this explain why the Pierrot clown, or future Gerard, kills current Gerard and then blows himself up? Is it to disrupt a timeline that he knows ends in something disastrous? Do I sound like I'm going insane? But remember that hostage that won the 2009 car that we were just talking about? Let's dive into that a little further as well. So she's gifted a 2009 car as well as a brand new goat in the backseat. A lot of people made the link that this is really reminiscent of the lyrics from Disenchanted. I spent my high school career spit on and shoved to agree so I could watch all my heroes sell a car on TV. Is this the Black Parade kind of being like, we're being forced to sell out? The state's making us sell out. Enjoy your brand new Honda Civic, that. But I'm more focused on the goat aspect of this. So the goat is a recurring image throughout this show. We know this. We explored this in the last video. And there's a couple of reasons why this woman was gifted a goat after surviving the execution. So for one, it could simply be that the goat is meant to represent a scapegoat. And perhaps this is reminiscent of the way Drag is using the Black Parade band as a scapegoat for all of the atrocities that they're about to commit during the show. Because it's kind of on the Black Parade's conscience that it's happening at their show. It's Gerard who pushes the button, even maybe by force, but they're being used as a scapegoat and this is their reminder to stay in line. Alternatively, we can look at this a bit more holistically. So goats are a symbol of abundance and good luck. So surviving an execution from the state, I mean, that's pretty lucky. But also, what other animal do we see reoccurring throughout the show? We see the deer. We see the deer mostly in the cello instrumental in between the Black Parade set and My Chemical Romance's set, as well as with arrows in it on the Drag national flag. And deer represent innocence and intuition. So we have these two opposing antithesis symbolic animals, one of which is gifted to citizens by Drag and the other one is taken away, i.e. killed on the flag and in the video of it decaying. So if Drag are trying to encourage abundance and good luck, but are trying to discourage innocence and intuition, it's playing into that idea of propaganda once again. They're stripping citizens of their innocence, but also trying to remove any intuition that they're a bad state or a bad government as much as they can. So I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong, but the real Marilyn on TikTok had a theory about the Mama extended outro. They suggest that this extended outro is actually non-diegetic. So it's actually a monologue happening inside Gerard's brain rather than externally to the audience. There's kind of visual clues to this being true, so the lights go from red to blue and everyone kind of stops on stage. People stop moving or at least slow down.
I've got a secret. We've got a song.
So you get the gist. It's kind of like a soliloquy. And the real Marilyn has this theory that Gerard Way and the dude with the beard who becomes the Pierrot clown are actually in cahoots. They're not enemies at all.
Now I know what you're thinking. How does this all connect to the clown? Gerard always knew that he was going to be stabbed, and him and the entire Black Parade knew that the clown was going to blow up the stage at the end of the show. Why? Because it was all a part of their master plan. During this bridge, Gerard explains that they'll follow the dictator. They'll do everything he says. They'll act as propaganda. They'll distract the masses about the war. They will do everything perfectly and they will not step out of line. But behind the scenes, they're planning a way out. And what is this way out, you might be asking?
So that's one theory, but what else can we lean into? If you watched my last video, you'll know I am a firm believer that this is the story of 1984. And I went into some brief details in that last video, but the more I've been thinking about it, the more I think I'm right. So let me give you a quick rundown. In the last video, I said that I believe that the moat is the Ministry of Auditory Torture, and this explains the video we got in the tour promo titled Opera. However, I kind of chucked this theory out on TikTok to see what everyone else thought, and so many better answers. One of them being the Ministry of Alternate Timelines or Alternative Timelines. Hello, we're back at time travel. It's quantum physics. But that's not where I'm going with this. So we know that in the Mexico tour promo video that the Black Parade band haven't been seen in 17 years.
On the 7th days of the 10th month of 2007, in a place called the Palace of Sport, it was widely reported that the band, known as the Black Parade, has never returned from their concert in Mexico City, having perished in flames in what was to be their final performance. However, it is now known to the people of Drag and to the world that the Black Parade is very much alive. And so, on suggestion of his grand immortal dictator, the Cabinet of Operatic Retaliations has seen it just to send the Black Parade back to the soil of their untimely expiration.
So we were told the Black Parade died in 2007 in Mexico City, and there's one of two ways we can go with this. Option number A, they did. They died. And this is kind of wheeling back to the idea that the grand immortal dictator is only immortal because it's sucking the life out of Gerard Way on stage. But if he can do that for himself, can he do that for other people? Is it literally necromancy? Hi guys, it's me again, editing Rosie. So I came up with another theory after I sat and thought about this for a bit. If the grand immortal dictator is using Gerard's energy to kind of keep himself immortal, and it requires a sacrifice of the dead, i.e. the Mexico tour promo video. What if the Black Parade band did die in a fire in Mexico, and with the help of the Grand Immortal Dictator's necromancy, they've been brought to life? However, this only lasts a short amount of time, and this is why 4 hostages get killed on stage every night, regardless of if the vote is yay or nay. It's 4 hostages, 1 for each person: Gerard, Frank, Mikey, and Ray. And what if them being sacrificed or electrocutioned is the Grand Immortal Dictator's way of preserving the energy from these citizens to then reinstate into the Black Parade band to keep them performing as propaganda? What do we think? Very late and I gotta finish editing this video, so hope you enjoy. Did the Black Parade die? Drag decided they wanted to go to war with all of these countries and needed pawns to do so, and therefore picked the most influential thing to come out of Drag, the Black Parade band, and resurrected them to play these shows and for Gerard to hit the button that sets off the nuclear bombs. Or option B, did they fake the death of the Black Parade band to hide them away from society when it was convenient, send them to Moat, which could be the Ministry of Auditory Torture, the Ministry of Alternate Realities, anything, only to then realise that they were a capable asset in their grander plan? Now I'm going to focus in on the auditory torture being the AT of Moat. If it is auditory torture, or perhaps even artistic torture if you want to go more broad, is that possibly the Black Parade band's Room 101? If you don't know what Room 101 is, in 1984, our main characters Winston and Julia are sent to be punished in Room 101, which is the culmination of your biggest fear. So if the Black Parade band are being punished and are sent to Moat for 17 years, and Moat is auditory or artistic torture, is it possible that artistic torture is their worst fear and that is their Room 101? And this is all a metaphor for being true to yourself in the music industry and being authentic. I think that's a bit too fluffy for me, but it's definitely a solution that's out there. So at the start of the show, Marianne performs the Drag National Anthem, and just look at the visuals on screen for a sec. As the Black Parade band are coming out and then the whole audience start cheering. You tell me if this looks really familiar. This is the opening scene to the film adaptation of 1984.
This is our land, a land of peace and of plenty.
We have the wheat fields, we've got the vocals at the beginning of it. It just feels too similar to be a coincidence. And then I just want to discuss briefly that the end is played twice. So it's played at the beginning, of course, where it's placed in the album, but then it's also played at the end before Blood. This is kind of referring to a cycle. Everything is cyclical and everything comes round. Is the story also a cycle? Are we just rerunning the same kind of Groundhog Day simulation over and over again? And does this tie into the time travel theory? Guys, I'm a big believer in the 1984 theory, and I'm a big believer in the time travel theory, but I don't think they work at the same time. And then most notably, we got a morsel of the Paper Kingdom. They performed War Beneath the Rain as a live debut in LA on the 26th of July.
Studio in North Hollywood, and we were making a record that never came out, and this is one of the songs we really love from it.
But they've only played it that one time. I just thought this was insane. I said in the last video, I don't think we're getting Paper Kingdom, and then was just immediately proven wrong. Does this mean we're gonna get the whole album? Again, I want to say I doubt it, but I doubted we were going to get any of it, and we literally got War Beneath the Rain. So really quickly, I'm going to look through some of your comments on the original video, because you guys had some great theories, and I wanted to give you guys a spotlight. Raketo Musashi said, a bundle of wheat symbolizes fascism. Specifically, the name fascism comes from the term fascis, which is Latin to describe a bundle of rods nestled together, much in the same way the wheat they bring out at the start is. A lot of you also pointed out in the last video, I said I wasn't certain why they brought out the bundle of wheat, and many of you said it's to memorialize Bob Brier's passing, and I was like, obviously, yes. They also said there's been a lot of misinformation about the yay nay thing, but take it from someone who was there, the audience overwhelmingly voted yay. Jared even comments on it, I'm seeing a lot of red. The execution happening regardless was the point, and I worry it's being lost in confusion at that. Yes, so we know that the execution happens regardless, and I think this is really reflective of kind of the state of politics at the moment, where your vote doesn't necessarily matter. Some atrocities are going to be done. I think this is particularly true of the United States at the moment, which might be the place where Gerard Way has come with this idea from, where there's not really a great option. Something bad is going to happen either way, and your vote does not really matter. And then they said this, the Pierrot comparison is definitely apt, but I think it's much more likely a reference to the white clowns from 1984, who were meant to distract the citizens from the corruption and atrocity that was happening and placate them with benign entertainment. I am unsure what this is a reference to, but if this is true, I like it. The red and blue flashing lights during sleep were pointed out by some psych-savvy people to be EMDR, a treatment for PTSD. Interesting. And whatever moat stands for, it's clear that if you're sent to the moat, you're dead as a doornail. When the execution happened on stage, moat officers dragged off the corpses. They were wearing labelled jackets. So these are all the details that we don't really get to see because none of the videos are clear enough. So if you were at any of these Long Live the Black Parade Tour shows and you have any input or clarity, please do comment it because I'm loving reading these. And then Anna Clara LLB, they said, I gotta mention here because I haven't seen anyone else talking about it, but the deer is basically a recreation of Frida Kahlo's La Venadita or El Venado Herido, the little deer or the wounded deer. This painting talks about physical and emotional pain, specifically when Kahlo was having severe amounts of chronic pain. Not only that, the commodification of her as a person serving as selling point of souvenir/liberal feminism when she was a communist is so poignant. She became merchandise, and her art ideology and her life now is used by capitalism for profit. Here's another interpretation from Yamplifier of what moat could be. The Ministry of Absolute Truth. That's possible. So Kokomo said, something I haven't seen anybody talking about, which could be a clue or could be nothing. After Disenchanted, they think, Gerard repeats the phrase, Paris is beautiful at night, 2 times in a way that sounds to me like he is speaking forcefully, some sort of code/slogan that will come in the future. I do think he's being held against his will. I didn't catch that Paris is beautiful at night, but I really loved this comment that Vicious Awful left that said, wheat is also used to make bread. The clown motif, it's panem es circenses. It says, here's the bread, we are the circus. Here's the bread, we are the circus. I just love that. I was like, that's so poetic. So you guys have been leaving some really great comments, but I want to turn your attention to one creator in particular. I'm going to snip up this person's video because I want you to go over to their page and watch the full thing because everything they're making at the moment is absolutely incredible. There's a creator on TikTok called Franny Stein, and Franny watched my video where I said that I believe this is all linked to Danger Days, and cracked it, like absolutely ran with that and went so deep that I can't even put this into better words than they can. I'm just going to show you this, but make sure you go over to their TikTok and check out the full thing because I'm only going to show you snippets.
This new lore could potentially connect the Black Parade to Danger Days, reaching out and pressing a button, which subsequently might have launched something off, and then there's a whole bunch of static. For reference, the National Anthem comics took place in the early 2000s. The Helium Wars took place somewhere between the mid-2010s, and then Danger Days, of course, was 2019. On the original BLI website, they mention a Great Fire in 2012 that cleansed the area. BLI took over as a de facto political and commercial force in 2012 after the Great Fires. Gerard rebelling against the dictator's wishes, to which, as a reprimand, was given a note which translates to "Mother doesn't love you anymore." In the National Anthem comics, there are these characters, Mom and Dad. After the analog wars that the Killjoys lost their way and their memories, Mike Milligram gets disconnected from the TV, and that's when his memories return. And then basically rebooting the Killjoys in present-day America, where it's impossible to tell what's real and what Mom and Dad just tell you what to keep calm. Mom and Dad are the mind-controlling TVs that can wipe your memories.
So I thought that was a really interesting deep dive into not only how this links to Danger Days, but how it links to the Killjoy comics, which is just mind-blowing. And then, of course, for all my Brits watching, guys, it's our time. We all had a heart attack at like 8 in the morning the other morning.
Quizo with your host, Gorgave Calamar.
Greetings, Dragoshkas. Welcome back to Greater Dragad's favorite game show, Quizo, where our two fine contestants will help us learn who will be the next lucky country to win the grand prize of one nuclear winter. Let's find out, shall we? Mika, you were the winner of last round, so you earned the right to press Quizo for an answer. Now that Cram has powered him up, it is time to find out who will be the next big winner.
Come on, Quizo!
Schifano, schifano, rufa pacca schifano. Roof. Pacca.
Congratulations, United Kingdom!
We have lots of imagery to unpick in this. Obviously, we've got the goat, which we referenced earlier. It's all very 50s, 60s kind of esque, which is a couple years jump ahead of what I thought the timeline was in the last video, which I assumed was like 30s, 40s, but not so far off that it's horrific. And then these billboards started popping up in Leicester Square in London, and it's the Black Parade band logo or text, MCR. But the only imagery is the gentleman, this puppet toy on a chair. So they're not really advertising the show. It's so unorthodox and it's just blowing my mind. But this game show, Quizo, is the same game show that the hostage won her car and goat in, and it's also the same game show that features on the screens during Teenagers in the live show. So with all that information in mind, I feel like I'm more confused now than I was when I made the last video on the My Chemical Romance tour. What is going on? Is it time travel? Is it 1984? What does the moat stand for? I feel like the more pieces we get to the puzzle, just like the bigger the puzzle gets, and it just doesn't make sense. None of them fit together. But I'm a firm believer that Gerard and the Pierrot clown are the same person, or they're meant to be the same person. I even had a bit of a thought that Gerard and the puppet, the gentleman, too are the same person. But now I just think I'm getting confused. I believe in the time travel theory, I believe in the 1984 theory, and I definitely believe in the grand immortal dictator is sucking the life out of Gerard to stay immortal theory, but not all at the same time. Guys, I don't know. What do we think? I think it's getting more unclear as we go, but I'm gonna keep making these videos every few shows just to piece together everything until something huge happens that explains it all. And then maybe at the end of all this, when we finally got our story, I'm just gonna make one mega video with all of these because this is getting insane. So please comment down below what you think's going on, and while you're down there, give my Instagram and my TikTok a follow, because that's where I'm making short form content with ideas as I come up with them. So you can see all of my Long Live the Black Parade tour theories as soon as I come up with them, a lot faster than it takes me to make these videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.